The following program is a Creative Magic Network production. Hey guys, December 3rd is the deadline to enter the contest to win Lance Secretan's powerful book on inspiring leadership, titled The Spark, The Flame, and The Torch. Inspire yourself, inspire others, inspire the world. And the best part, the book is in hardcover. That's right, hardcovers are hard to get these days. So if you haven't already, you can enter the contest by going to frederickbuy.com. That's Frederick with a C, buy like bye-bye.com, and enter your email in the pop-up that will appear at the top of your screen. Also, today, we're taking it from the vault once again as we chat with a living miracle, Gregg Kirk. For those of you thinkin', well, Gregg Kirk tells his story on how he went to Brazil and met John of God. From that point, his life changed. But I won't tell you more. Have a great episode. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Put your earbuds on. It's wonderful. It's a wonderful weather. It's summer. People are just, I don't know. People are just happy when summer comes. I don't know why. You don't have school. Maybe you're listening to this. Maybe you're at school. Now you just finished. Or maybe you're about to finish. Hey, we need to push through these exams as best as we can. And if you're not in school, hey, it's July. You know, it's going to be July in about a month. And I think July and August are two of the most, I don't know, people are happy in July and August for some reason. Well, maybe because of the vacations. I don't know. Anyway, I just want to thank Guitar Geek for this School Rock version of Mario Brothers. And this is the Creative Magic Unchained podcast. This podcast is about unleashing your creativity. We talk to experts. We step into the unknown. It is a magical podcast. It is an intuitive, inspirational podcast as we chat with charismatic enigmas from around the world. Business people, radio hosts, artists, actors, singers, musicians, magicians, everything in between. The Tower of Power, too sweet to be sour. Funky like a monkey. Hey, in this place, sky is the limit and space is the place. I am Frederick Baye and I'm talking to you from right here in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. But really, it really doesn't matter where I'm from. It's a global community. We're all connected. Who cares where I'm from, right? I'm a mother Canucker. I am a host, a podcaster, a writer, a blogger, or whatever. And this podcast is FREE free every time you download it on iTunes or Stitcher. So please go over there and subscribe. You know, it really, really helps. Push the subscribe button so you're going to get each and every episode straight to your inbox. And also you can leave a review in iTunes. That really, really helps us. It really helps with the algorithm. And I just want to thank people who already did leave comments. It really, really helps. All right. So right before we get on, I'm going to drop the bionic joke on you. Listen to this. This is a conversation between a boy and his father. The boy says, I got an F in arithmetic. The father asks, why? The boy says, the teacher asked, how much is 2 times 3? And I said, 6. The father says, but that's right. The boy continues, then she asked me, how much is 3 times 2? The father said, what's the effing difference? The boy replies, that's exactly what I said to the teacher. All right. Hey, I just want to say a quick thank you to everybody who visited our website, frederickbuy.com. I think we never had as many people visit our website. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. It's growing. That thing is growing and it's fun. And I am grateful. And also, I just want to thank everybody who purchased who used our Amazon links to purchase, books and other stuff that I saw, you guys purchased through our link. It's really, really cool because it really, really helps. So I just want to say a quick thank you to all you guys. And by the way, guys, if you have a passion, something that fuels your curiosity, what you're going to do now is you're going to join our creatives community. You're going to get a free anthology of 25 inspirational quotes about living a happy life from the inside out, cataloged by Maura Sweeney herself, the ambassador of happiness. And also, you're going to get a free exclusive conversation with two of my favorite people, the Nigerian sensation Alex Okoroji and Maxwell Ivy. And we chat, we chatted, and these two are really doing their thing. And it's really cool to talk about, to talk to people who are really doing it. They're in it and they're doing it. And we talk about the influence of friends and college education on our careers and lives. We talk about the competitiveness in a crowded field. We talk about the importance of business and financial education in arts and entrepreneurship and more. And also, Alex has a free gift for you. She's giving you her book for free. That's right. Normally you have to pay for it in Amazon. But you know what? She says, nah, I'm going to give my book for free to the Creative Magic Unchained listeners. So once you get on frederickby.com, there's a pop-up that's going to appear, and all you got to do, enter your email. It is that simple. And the title, the website is Frederick with a C and buy like bye-bye.com. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed the last couple of episodes with Susie Carr and Matt Remuzzi. And I thought they were interesting conversation. Susie's so sweet, so gentle, and I just love talking to creative people who are really into arts, and it's one of my favorite subject. And you know what, Susie really lived up to. I thought it was the type of conversation that I expected. It was deep, spiritual, positive. I loved it. And also, Debbie Silver was also very uplifting, positive. I really enjoyed talking to her. She's at TED Talks. She was on TED Talks, and she has an interesting story. And I love, really a great woman. And all right, guys, let's move on to today conversation. Yes. Oh, today's special. We have a special guy. His name is Gregg Kirk. That's right. And the guy, I'm not going to tell you much about him because he's going to talk, I'm going to let you discover who he is during the conversation. But basically, he's a musician, and he got affected by Lyme disease later on in his life. And then he went to Brazil and visited John of God. And guys, you will not believe what happened. And it's one of my favorite conversations, really, because it is inspiring, and it is spiritual. It is spiritual, and I just enjoyed it. So, without further ado, we're gonna get to the conversation right after this. Hey guys, quick thanks to RadioGuestList.com, where you can find people to interview for free. Thank you guys for your support. And speaking of support, are you an Amazon shopper? When you use our Amazon link at frederickby.com, Amazon takes back a few dollars to us, the show, and it helps cover production costs at no additional cost to you. No hidden fees, no nothing. So you feel like this show, you can help by going over to frederickby.com, click on the blog page, and click the Amazon link in the sidebar for all your online Amazon shopping. It's that simple. Bookmark it to find it easier. Alrighty, hello everybody. Welcome to the Creative Magic Unchained. We are here with Gregg Kirk. He's a musician, and his latest album, Everything, is the result of Gregg's decade-long battle with Lyme disease and his subsequent visit to John of God. And you can find him at Zen Engines.com. How are you today, Gregg?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I am fabulous. Thank you again for doing this. So, okay, so you're doing a bunch of things. You're a musician. You're fighting for I mean, to find a cure, I think for Lyme disease, if I'm not mistaken. And but right before we dive into that, though, talk to us a little bit about yourself. Your background.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I grew up in the U.S. in the Midwest, and my parents got transferred to the East Coast, United States, when I was young, and I grew up in just outside the Philadelphia area, and I started playing music at a pretty young age, mostly rock. I learned guitar, and started almost immediately writing songs, and played in bands, and I mostly played in original bands throughout my time, and basically started doing some minor recordings and so forth. I'd say the first big event that happened with me musically was in the Philadelphia area. I passed an audition with a very well-known artist named Robert Hazard. He was very big. He was like the David Bowie of Philadelphia, and he wrote the song "Girls Just Want to Have Fun," which Cyndi Lauper ended up recording. He recorded it years before. It was his song. But anyway, I played with him for about a little less than a year. And then I dropped out to form, my own bands, and did that for quite a while. And then my band Shovelhead got picked up in 1996 by A&M Records for a brief period of time. They basically just recorded us and paid for it, and then didn't do anything with it. So then I moved to Connecticut, where I'm living now, and built my own recording studio. And I don't know if you want to get into this now, but it was when I moved to Connecticut when I got Lyme disease.
Okay, interesting. Right before we dive into that, who were your favorite bands growing up?
Well, I was heavily influenced by the band Deep Purple when I was young. In fact, I didn't own any other records until I was about 16 years old. So
really?
Yeah. I owned all of Deep Purple's records, and then my parents went to see Jesus Christ Superstar, and lo and behold, the guy who played Jesus, Ian Gillan, was the lead singer of Deep Purple. So so I really got into Jesus Christ Superstar and Deep Purple for many years. And then I got into bands like Rush and Black Sabbath and, kind of a little bit of Led Zeppelin, but, those kind of heavier rock bands, they influenced me until kind of like, the punk new wave thing hit. And then I started getting into that style of music. And then, later in the 90s, I was really influenced by bands like Soundgarden and Alice in Chains.
Did you grow up in a conservative household, like meaning they wanted you to have a traditional job, or what kind of household did you grow up in? What was the mindset?
Well, yeah, I mean Midwestern values, kind of. I grew up many years in Iowa. I went to high school there, and my parents wanted me to have a job. So, when I started out as a musician, they said, "Oh, well, you got to go to college and you got to get a real job." They didn't discourage me from doing music. They saw I had a little bit of talent. And they even started liking some of my songs that I wrote. And I actually saw that as a bad sign. If my parents liked my music, I was in the wrong direction. I wasn't trying to appeal to that audience. So,
And all right. So once you decided to become a musician, how did your parents react? I mean, did you go to college, or did you, or did you just
So I kind of, yes, I went to college, and I became believe it or not, a school teacher for a while.
Wow.
Yeah, which was, I hated it. So I only did it for a couple of years. I ended up starting my own entertainment magazine with a group of friends in Philadelphia, and that's really what kind of gave me a ton of experience. Outside of music, but, in the world of graphics, photography, page layout, computers. I did event organization. It gave me a whole new range of experiences and skills. All the while, it was, while I was running the magazine, it became very well known in the Philadelphia area. And I had record labels calling me up once a month, literally just asking me for, the best bands in the Philadelphia area. I even set up a showcase with Island Records. They said, "We'll come to your town and we want to see some of the best bands." And I said, "You know what? I'll help you out. I'll set up a showcase. I'll invite all the best bands in Philly and have them play at a venue. And all you have to do is go to one venue, and And I mentioned to them, I said, and I got to tell you, I think my band is one of the better bands. So, we'll be playing too. And they respected that I was upfront about it. So, so that was actually a pretty cool way of still pursuing music and still keeping that going, while, making a bit of a living. Because, as everybody knows, it's tough to make money as a full-time musician, especially if you're only playing original music. So.
Okay. Let me ask you this, because I think the musical business is it's like the writing business, it seems. It's so crowded. How was it in the 90s? Because you got a deal, then it kind of, you said it dropped you, but how did that come about? And I mean, how can I say that behind the scenes in the music business? Are there a lot of scammers? Are there a lot of, what kind of business is it for people because it's easy to look at music and look at it from the outside. It's fun from the outside. It's music. It's flashy. It's, but how is it on the inside? Like how is backstage?
Yeah. Well, so I had an interesting view because I was on both sides of the fence. I was on the side of the artist because I was one. I was also on the side of press. So I got an interesting view into the world of the PR, so the record labels would contact us and just try to shove certain bands down our throats. At the magazine, they would send us stacks and stacks of CDs and records and so forth. And one of the most interesting things I got while I was at the magazine was early on when Marilyn Manson was an unknown. He had just been picked up by Trent Reznor's, I think, Zero Records. And he sent us like a handwritten note, of who he was and his philosophy and everything. So it was really cool to see those kinds of things. I also went to big music conferences like the New Music Seminar, which doesn't exist anymore, South by Southwest in the early days, one in Canada in Vancouver called North by Northwest. But, I would be at these events as an artist and sometimes representing the magazine. So I was straddling both lines of the fence. So I got to see a full view of, what the backstage things were like you were saying. So I would be at, a record label cocktail party. It wasn't called a cocktail party. It was just a party and everybody's drinking. Of course, some people doing drugs. And I was just standing there at the time. I had very long hair and I looked like I could be in, Alice in Chains or Soundgarden. And, one of the guys from the record label came up to me and made this weird comment and said, "You look like you can make somebody a lot of money."
Okay.
And I'm like, well, in other words, I had the look that was in at the time during the grunge phase. I had the leather jacket and long hair and that kind of thing. And I thought it's interesting that he didn't say that I could be making the money. You know what I mean? The record label was going to make money off of me. That was clear. It wasn't clear how I was going to make money. So anyway, so that was back in the 90s. That's the way it was with record labels. They lured you, for instance, when I don't want to get into too many details because I'm still friends with the person who's the A&R person, but he came and, when it was very interesting. How we got exposed was, of course, through an event that I was participating in with my magazine. So there was a big, a local musician had died, and they were throwing a big event for him and for his passing, and it was a memorial kind of event. My band was asked to play. It was an all-day event. So we went and we played, and as I came off the stage, this guy just came up to me and asked for, a record, or actually, this is how long ago, he asked for a cassette. And wow. I said, okay, I gave it to him. And then immediately a manager came up to me, and we kind of had an informal manager at the time, but this was a formal manager, came up to me and said, I don't know if you know who that was, but that guy is an A&R rep for A&M Records. And the fact that he asked for your music, that's a big deal. And I said, okay. And I didn't think anything of it. Well, this manager guy called me up the next day, and he said, listen, I talked to him and he's very interested in your band. And if you want, I could set things up with, where we could set up a showcase. And lo and behold, within a week, he had us at a show at a stage, a sound stage in Philadelphia, just us and the guy flew in from Hollywood to see us. And it was like 104-degree day outside, and we played just him and us in that room. It was very unnerving. It was a room, full of mirrors and a sound stage, and we just played, like we were playing to a stadium. But anyway, he took us across the street after that, and it reminded me of the song, Pink Floyd's song, Have a Cigar. He was kind of saying to us, hey, you can swim in my pool. He pointed to me and said, I'm going to make you a heartthrob in Europe, and, you're going to tour the country. And that's when I opened my big mouth and said, hey, I think our best music has not been recorded yet. And he said, all right, well, I'll put you in the studio for free. And he did. And then, when we were only in the studio for a couple of weeks, and then he listened to the stuff and he just decided his words were, I don't get it anymore. And that was it. So,
okay. Wow.
Yeah. And, luckily this manager guy had us up in front of a couple of very well-known A&R people. One, Tony Ferguson was one from Interscope Records. I think he may actually still be there. But, so within a couple of weeks, we were in front of a couple more people, but the momentum had kind of gone, the air had gone out of the balloon, and we ended up not getting a deal after that. But we ended up opening for the Goo Goo Dolls, I think, a couple weeks later, and then the band kind of dissolved, and I moved to Connecticut and just decided to do my own thing, write my own music and build my own studio, which I'm doing now. So
wow. All right. So once again, we're talking with Gregg Kirk. He's a musician, and his latest album, Everything, is the result of Gregg's decade-long battle with Lyme disease and his subsequent visit to John of God. You can find him at TheZenEngines.com. All right. Now you move to Connecticut. The band dissolved. You're in Connecticut, and then your body goes. What happened?
Yeah, I started noticing these weird symptoms. Like every time I would eat, I would feel like I was on drugs. It was the weirdest thing. And I was in very good shape at the time, physical shape. I was going to the gym like 3 times a week. And every time I would eat, I'd have to lay down and take a nap. And these are not traditional Lyme symptoms. So I went 2 years undiagnosed. I went to all manner of different doctors. And, they told me different things like, well, these symptoms they're not life-threatening, so maybe you just learn to live with them. Or, and that's when, or, are you depressed? Maybe you need to go see a psychiatrist. I said, look, I feel bad and then I'm depressed. It's not the other way around. So I think anybody who doesn't feel well ends up getting depressed about it. And I said,
how bad did you feel? I mean, what was it that so you were just tired?
Yeah, it wasn't, something was off. I didn't feel awful. I felt like anytime I ate something, I immediately got really dizzy and really sleepy. Sometimes I would just have to literally go lie down and take a nap. And this is in the middle of the day, where minutes before I was fine. And I thought, wow, if I just didn't have to eat all day, I'd feel normal. But then, things got a little worse. I started getting headaches and I had trouble speaking, and it got worse to the point where finally a holistic doctor said, listen, before you come in and see me, I want you to write down, do a journal, a symptom journal for 1 week. Tell me what you feel every day. So I gave her the journal and she looked at it and she said, you have Lyme disease. She knew immediately.
Really?
Yeah. So
and holistic doctors I'm sure they were not prevalent at that time. What year was that?
Well, this was back in 2005. So,
okay. No, it's not long ago.
Not that long ago. No, 11 years ago. Yeah. So anyway, so she gave me antibiotics and I thought, all right, well, good, because I thought I was losing my mind. I went to all these different doctors. I swallowed a radioactive pill and they tracked the pill in my body. I mean, all these really invasive tests. And then finally, boom, it's Lyme disease. And I thought, well, all right, I'll get over that. That's no problem. So I took the antibiotics for a couple of weeks. I went back and see my doctor, and I started feeling awful, way worse than I had before. Like I almost couldn't move. I mean, it was just bad. And she said, "Well, how are you feeling?" I said, "Really bad." And she said, "Good." I said, "What are you talking about?" And she said, "That means the medicine's working. You're killing the disease. It's releasing toxins in your body." And I said, well, okay. But, now that I know, she should have told me how to get the toxins out, because nobody has to go through that. But I started really feeling worse. And I thought, you know what, I could just keep doing this forever. There was like no end in sight. So I asked to have something inserted called a PICC line. And it's where they put a tube in your vein, and so that you can, administer your own antibiotics every day, like a small ball, this plastic ball that screws into this port, and it puts liquid antibiotics right into your veins. So anyway, I went, and I didn't realize what kind of a procedure this was. It was a full-on surgical procedure. They put the line in, and I didn't realize the line actually goes right into your aorta of your heart. And they went too far, and they jabbed my heart and almost killed me. And kept, I went through a whole thing in the hospital where I was lying on the table, and blood pressure was going down. They got very worried. They kept me for observation, but I was okay. I ended up driving home, and then when I went to sleep that night, I rolled over on my side, and the line must have like gone right into my heart, because I woke up with my heart like doing jungle drums in my chest.
Wow.
And I went downstairs and thought I was going to die. I just laid there on the couch until, the sun came up, and then I called the emergency care doctor, and I said, listen, this is what happened to me. His advice was, hey, you know what? You just went through the hardest part of it. If you can tough it out and keep the line in, then you can put the antibiotics in your body and see how you do. And I said, all right, I'll do it. And man, those antibiotics hit me like a freight train. And I was like a zombie for a couple of months.
Really?
Yeah, they just turned me upside down. So, long story short, I started really spiraling downward and could barely work. I didn't want to live anymore. That's how bad it was. My state of mind, the way I felt every day, I felt just horrible. It's like your worst hangover every minute of the day. That's how you feel on a normal day. And sometimes you feel worse. Sometimes you have a migraine, or sometimes you have joint pain, or sometimes you have digestive trouble. So, I thought, well, this is not a very good quality of life. I don't want to live it anymore,
Were you still working at that time? Or
I was. I had a job here in Connecticut working for, doing graphics for a corporation. And, finally I told them what was going on, because they wondered what was happening to me. I was just walking around like a zombie. So I ended up getting off the antibiotics and going on some herbal meds and feeling a little bit better. But, I still wasn't myself, and I wasn't where I wanted to be. And I just found this link online, an interview Oprah had done with a guy named John of God. And I had never heard of him before. And I saw this video, and there were, all these things that he was doing. He was healing people. Some of them he was just healing by, blessing them, and other people he was cutting into them.
In the eye.
Yeah, scraping their eyes, putting forceps up their nose, cutting into their bodies, and they don't flinch, they don't bleed, they don't seem to feel anything, and he stitches them up, and they don't move. And I just thought, wow, that's pretty amazing. I've seen things like that before, but the thing that really got me was Oprah's team sent a Harvard-trained doctor down there to try to debunk.
I saw the interview. I remember.
Yeah. So I thought, wow. The fact that this guy could not debunk John of God, he basically said, I can't explain to you what he's doing, but I also can't, he also seems to be healing people.
Yeah.
So that's kind of all I needed to hear. I had tried everything at that point. I tried Western medicine. I tried Chinese medicine, alternative medicine, acupuncture. I mean, anything you can imagine. And nothing was making me feel better. So I just thought, why don't I look into this? So I took the 10-hour plane flight and flew down there. And, first day I got there, the people there, it's a group called Sacred Light Tours. They're very, very, very good tour group. And they, the first day you get there, they sit down with you. They do a little counseling session, because for one thing, they have to translate, what your healing intention is to John of God, because he doesn't speak English. He only speaks Portuguese. And so, I thought, all right, well, this won't take long. I want to be healed from Lyme disease. So I sat down with them, and they had their little notebooks ready, and they said, why are you here? I said, I want to be healed from Lyme disease. And I kind of turned to get up, and they said, wait a minute, what else? And I laughed. I thought I was being a smart ass. I said, what do you mean? I get 3 wishes? And they looked up at me very seriously, and they said, why stop at 3? And I was like, oh my God. So I said, okay, well, let's see how this works. I said, I write music, so I would like to write music that heals people. And they said, okay, what else? And, I rattled off a number of other things. And so anyway, I went to see John of God the next day, and, you walk in this line, and you go and you touch his hand, and he tells the translator what he recommends you do. And for me, it was what they call an invisible surgery, or a psychic surgery, spiritual surgery. There's a lot of different names for it. But you go into a blessing room that has like church pews, and you sit down and you just close your eyes and meditate. And he comes into the room and he says a blessing and he leaves. And that's all there is to it. But as you're sitting there, you feel these sensations all over your body, and everybody has a different experience. Some of the women I was with in my group said they felt somebody shove them forward or to the side, and there was nobody in, we were all just sitting there. Nobody shoved them, or no physical person did anyway. There's a lot of spirits in the room who are there to heal you. And in fact, one thing I forgot to mention, the first day I was there, John of God did come out. He came out with a microphone and he spoke to the audience in Portuguese, so I didn't really know what he was saying. But all of a sudden, he dropped the microphone and his body shuddered. And you could tell, like, a spirit went into his body, because when he turned around, his entire body swelled up. I mean, I saw it. His eye color changed, and I almost passed out from the energy that took place, like when that spirit went in his body. And in fact, somebody on the stage who was there to help him with the surgery did get knocked down. I mean, it's just unbelievable. So anyway, I'm sitting in this meditation room, this blessing room, and he comes in and he says a few words, and I felt like it felt like electric needles all over my body. And, and then somebody says, okay, the blessing's over, you can leave now. And one of the people from our tour group came to us and said, okay, you need to get into a taxi cab right now and go home and sleep. And, it was like 2 p.m. I said, I'm all right. I'm a big guy. I'm 6'1", I can walk home. And she said, no, you need to treat this like you've been cut into. I said, all right. So, I got in the cab and literally drove like a block and a half. It was ridiculous to me. We get out and go to the hotel, and they were like very adamant about it. Don't talk to anybody. Go lay down in your room. And if you can't sleep, just close your eyes anyway. And I said, all right. So, I was very skeptical. I laid down in my room and I'm like, how am I going to go to sleep? And I closed my eyes and I didn't open them for 16 hours.
Really?
Yeah. And when I got up, It felt like I'd been hit by a truck. I looked in the mirror. My eyes were dilated and bloodshot. All the symptoms I'd ever had from Lyme disease were just cranked up to level 10. And I thought, wow, something really big just took place in my body, So anyway, I started feeling better, later on the next day. And then I went to see John of God again, and he recommended another surgery. So I did it again. And then one day I was in my room, and I, first thing in the morning, I went over to wash my face, and I looked in the mirror, and I just started laughing because the reflection I saw in the mirror did not look anything like what I'd just seen the last time I looked in the mirror.
What was it?
I looked 10 years younger at least. I look completely different. And at least I thought so. So anyway, I jumped on my phone to have, a FaceTime chat with my wife. And I didn't say anything to her. I just got on the phone with her. She jumps on, and the first thing words out of her mouth were, "Oh my God, you look different. What happened?"
Okay.
And I was like, all right, well, that's confirmation. My heart was just so full of gratitude. I just started crying. I said, I'm healed. And, just every symptom I'd ever had just completely went away. And, I was healed at that moment. And so I went home, and people could tell. The people at my work were like, "Where did you go? You are like glowing." And, so within a couple of days, the other aspect that I'd almost forgotten about at this point, which was the music, I just started getting music coming into my head like I've never had before. So, I've done, when I do songwriting in the past, I had, usually done it through guitar where I'm just kind of messing around on guitar, and then a riff will come about and I'll kind of build around that. And, it takes a while, and I kind of, work on some lyrics afterwards. Well, full entire songs were just being downloaded into me. And
really?
To the point where I was like this, and not even like any style like I was used to playing. I was used to playing more heavy rock stuff, and this was just all kinds of different styles. And in the past, kind of like the tone of writing of mine was, that kind of grunge rock, heavy rock, kind of self-destructive, angry point of view. And so obviously I didn't have that point of view anymore. So now it was more uplifting, and more inspirational. And, I don't want to say, it's not Christian rock or anything like that. And it's not kind of wimpy inspirational rock. It's still rock and roll, but it's a totally different point of view of being open to, things in the universe, and being open to love and things like that. So that's what's going on now. And I've recorded, 2 CDs. I'm on my 3rd one now. This one is even more intense, like literally, whereas the first CD, about half of that was, I had help. The second CD, it was, every song on that CD came from a place outside myself. But this time, it not only came outside myself, like almost every aspect of the music, like the lyrics, the guitar solos, like the arrangements, everything. The songs, I went through a period of time, I'm just kind of winding it down now, but where a new song was coming to me every 2 to 3 weeks. And it was coming in like fully finished. And so, I'm really grateful that happened, that I was able to ask for that help, and I get it. And so.
All right before continuing this conversation, for you, the listeners of the Creative Magic Unchained podcast, Audible is offering a free audio download with a free 30-day trial to give you the opportunity to check out their service. I personally recommend The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho, a classic. You can choose the audiobook of your choice right now for free by trying Audible. To download your free audiobook today, go to audibletrial.com/Fred. Again, that's audibletrial.com/Fred for your free audiobook. All right, once again, we're here with Gregg Kirk. He's a musician, and his latest album, Everything, is the result of Gregg's decade-long battle with Lyme disease and his subsequent visit to John of God. You can find him at the Zen Engines.com. Now, let me ask you this. You had this experience with John of God, and music came to you. From that point on, how did you channel your creativity? I mean, what do you do now that you did not do before visiting John of God? Do you meditate? Like, you know what I mean? Like, how do you use your creativity?
Yeah, no, that's a very good question. So, yeah, I meditate every day now. Whereas
how long?
Less than an hour. It's not as long as you think, and it's
an hour.
Not even.
Okay.
Yeah. No, it's more like 20 minutes, sometimes an hour, but usually not. But that's not where. Well, no, I shouldn't say that. The music comes to me no matter what's happening. So sometimes it may happen when, like, there was, I wrote a song. It's on the Everything CD called "Cleansing Rain." So it was raining outside, and the windows in my bedroom were open, so the rain was coming in. So I went over to the window, and I just kind of enjoyed the rain hitting me for a while. And, all of a sudden I started singing this song. It's a cleansing rain coming down again. And, and then there's more to it, but I was like, wow, where did that come from? So I was just getting ready to meditate, and I ran over to my iPhone and I pulled up voice memo and sang the song that just came to me. And then I went in, then I went and meditated. But now, I mean, I'm getting all kinds of stuff. I had a very unusual thing happen. I've not had anything like this. And this is going to sound really crazy, but after David Bowie died, I was a fan of his, but I wouldn't say I was a fanatical fan. And I had a huge respect for him. But like the day after he died, I would wake up in the morning with a David Bowie song in my head. And that's not totally unusual. But one day when I was meditating, I was seeing David Bowie's face. And I'm like, why am I seeing this? And I would see it for days. And then all of a sudden, I started hearing a song in my head as if it were on a radio station. And it was David Bowie singing it. And it's not any song he's ever sung. So I recorded it. So it's a song that I heard, and it's going to be on the new CD. And I don't know if it came from him or what, but it's just seems like a David Bowie song. And out of respect to him, it's a homage to him. So those are the kinds of things that are happening now. And it's, instead of me, kind of closing my mind to it, I'm opening my mind to it. So whereas before, I would write music, I would kind of try to force it to happen. Now, my main goal is to get out of the way, literally.
Yeah.
So the songs start coming to me, and I'm like, okay. I try not to I try not to use my left brain and think about anything. The way I'm changing now with guitar solos is another thing. I'll write an entire song, and then I'll leave a middle part for a solo. And what I used to do before is I'd sit down with my electric guitar and just kind of mess around until something started to sound good. Now I'm playing the music and I'm singing what the guitar solo needs to be. So in other words, I'm just opening myself up almost like a channel and singing the solo. And then I record that, and then I go back and then I figure it out on guitar. And those solos are not like anything I would have ever played on guitar. They're more, I don't know, they sound really angelic and powerful,
Wow. Let me ask you this. I speak to a lot of musicians and authors and photographers, and and I think many people who are wannabe those things, like let's say a writer who wants to publish a book, I think they can relate to what you say, in terms of the the music or the words or the photography, whatever comes to them, like the whatever comes to them, and then boom, they create it. But many people, they have a day job, whatever, and when it's time to publish the thing, they might say, well, I don't have the money to pay for a $2,000 editor or a musician, not a musician, but a producer,
right?
Or whatever. What would you tell them? Just what would you tell them? What advice would you give to somebody? Look, I have all this creativity, but I don't know how to publish. I don't know what to do.
Right, yeah. So
you know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm a strong believer in the law of attraction. So if you put your intention out there that you want to get your record, published and produced, whatever, and you start to feel good about it, and you just move forward, you just start doing it. You don't think about how it's going to get to the finish line. Because, you'll think of a lot of different things, and a lot of them will be the wrong things. So just concentrate on the inspiration in your music and concentrate on finishing it, and just be happy about it. And, maybe dream about it being finished and getting out there distributed. And eventually what I've noticed, especially since I've come back from Brazil, things just kind of fall in your path, and it's almost like magic. So if but you got to keep a firm, you got to stay kind of like in the line of faith on that, meaning that that something's good is going to happen in the end. Because if you start, the first thing that'll kill any kind of project is doubt. So you got to keep doubt out of the picture. If you can just enjoy the music that you're writing and think about it being finished and people and other people enjoying it, that kind of thing, wild things start happening for you in your favor. So.
Wow. All right. let's move on. The music business and, entrepreneurship, whatever, the arts, they're very uncertain. It's an uncertain world. It's not like a 9-to-5 job or, rational job. And many people, have a hard time with uncertainty. How do you remain calm in uncertainty? How do you deal with it?
Well, I would say before I went to Brazil, I was uncertain about everything. But now, I kind of...
I know friends of mine who were musicians. And when they saw the real world of being a musician, they say, no, man, there's too much, I won't, it's like, I have friends like, I want job security, or I want, it's like, wow, but anyway, keep going. Sorry.
No. Okay. So, things are so much different now than they were just even, 10, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So, you don't have to get a record deal anymore. I have a 12-year-old daughter, and I'm amazed at how many, she's introducing to me to these terms, like somebody who's Vine famous or YouTube famous or, Instagram famous. So there's entire audiences of people, just on Vine and, millions of people watching these people do these, 6-second videos. So what I'm trying to say is those are all brand new venues for people to publish their music, especially something like YouTube. So that doesn't take a lot of money. So if you are a songwriter and you don't have a bunch of money, my recommendation is, get good at playing the song that you just wrote, record it, put it out there on YouTube, and it's like throwing lines, fishing lines into the water. It's like eventually you're going to get a nibble. And if you've written a really good song and you start getting more views, people start to take notice. And it seems to me that's the most inexpensive way to really get fame and notice nowadays.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Wow. Okay. But to, with uncertainty, do you meditate? Do you, I don't know, do you, what do you do?
Yeah. In terms of, how do I just kind of not lose confidence, that kind of thing. Yeah, exactly. I mean, you've got to, I meditate, and you've just got to be confident in what you're doing, and trying not to waver from that, because the moment doubt creeps into the equation, that's when things start to unravel. Whereas I'm a firm believer you can have almost anything you want as long as you just believe that it's going to happen.
Let me ask you this. What is your life's purpose?
Wow. Nobody's ever asked me that. I think I'm here to help people, so one of the things I'm doing kind of with music and outside of music is I started a Lyme Disease Foundation. So I started something called the Ticked Off Music Fest.
What is it about? Tell us about it.
It's a concert series. So, it's www.tickedoffmusicfest.com. Ticked off like TICKED, like you're upset, but also with ticks. So I started a concert series back in 2013, and we just basically started playing different cities all around the United States, places where people are getting, infected with Lyme disease, but the awareness is very low. Mm-hmm. So, for instance, Florida is one place. We held an event in Jacksonville, Florida. You wouldn't think people are getting bitten by ticks there, but they are. Hawaii, we just did one in January in Hawaii, and almost everybody. And I was on a morning TV show in Hawaii, Sunrise Honolulu, and the Board of Health called after I made my appearance and said, told me that I needed to change what I was saying, that there's Lyme disease in Hawaii. And I said, I can't do that. I'm here because there is Lyme disease in Hawaii. So anyway, there's that. And then another thing I'm raising money for is Lyme disease patients. So I've raised money for research in the past, and there's a lot of organizations who are raising millions for that. I've changed my focus to Lyme patients because the leading cause of death for people with Lyme disease is not a disease, it's suicide. People run out of money. Most of Lyme treatment is not covered by insurance, and people get these just debilitating, seizures and heart problems. And, they end up in wheelchairs and they can't work. Their family abandons them. They get kicked out of their apartments or their places where they're living, and they have nothing left. They have no money, and too often every month you hear somebody killing themselves. So I've raised money. I'm raising money, and I've started this foundation called the Ticked Off Foundation, which is at tickedofffoundation.org. And we are raising funds for, I've got, a dozen people right now on the waiting list waiting for us to give them money. People who are suicidal, people who have heart conditions, who have run out of funds and they can't work. And, just really the stories are endless. And I put my phone number on the website, and I'm talking to these people 2 a.m, talking to them, talking them out of killing themselves. Cause I was at the point where I didn't want to live anymore, but I wasn't suicidal. But I pretty much know where they are mentally, and I understand all, what they're going through. So my life's purpose, I think it's, to try to help people with music and to help heal them if I can. And, and hopefully make it so that people don't go through even half the things I went through when I went through Lyme disease.
Any health recommendation, to have a sound mind, creative mind, I think we have to have a sound body really helps.
Yeah.
And vice versa.
Sure. Yeah.
Any health recommendations?
Yeah. Well, I'd say, exercise, eating right, and meditation. Those 3 things are super important. It's
funny because I spoke to Katina, and she was telling me how, food is important, but the thing is, everything is processed. And she talked about, and in her book, she talked about it too, organic foods.
Yeah.
Are you for that?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So when I mean eating right, I mean eating what some people call it clean. So it's if you can grow your own food as much as possible. Mm-hmm. And if you can't, that's hard to do. I've got a little garden in my backyard, but that doesn't feed my family throughout the year. I still need, but I'll go to, places like Whole Foods or Trader Joe's or Wegmans or whatever, because they tend to have good organic produce and other foods. And that's, I've always been, I've always eaten meat, and I'm kind of, weaning off of that a little bit, but, because I was getting into bodybuilding, and I understood the importance of like animal protein. You got to have your animal protein, but I don't know. So yeah, Katina's absolutely right. Eating clean, eating organic is very important, and and exercising, moving every day, especially people with Lyme disease. I noticed when I was just lying around, not feeling well, and if there were days where I forced myself to exercise, I ended up feeling so much better. So I think that just goes for anybody in general. You just keep moving, do some form of exercise, a couple times a week. And so those are good things for your body. But if you don't do anything for your mind, basically your mind, the more it wanders. I've heard the Zen Buddhists call it monkey mind. So how you'll be lying there at night and you'll think about all the things that make you nervous and keep you up at night. That is what that's what meditation helps kind of curb. It simplifies your thinking. It calms you down. And I've heard that 20 minutes of meditation is like a few hours of sleep or something. So it's so good for you. And I had I had an idea before I went to Brazil, but that was one of the things they told us. They said, daily meditation is an important thing. It's like, it should be like eating and sleeping for you.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right, Gregg, where can we find you, and where can we have, where can we buy your music, and where can we have access to, TikTok Foundation? Yeah.
So the websites are the best way to go. We also have a Facebook page. So, if you go to facebook.com/TickedOffMusicFest, we're there. But yeah, TickedOffMusicFest.com or TickedOffFoundation.org. Or my band is the Zen Engines, TheZenengines.com. And I've got a Bandcamp site, for the Zen Engines. So, Yeah, and then hopefully before the end of the year, I'll have another CD out of really cool music. I'm really, really excited about it. I think this is the best stuff I've ever done. So I'm really psyched to get it going.
All right. All right, Craig, thank you very much for doing this. Wow.
Thank
it was
you.
Deep. It was inspiring. Man, I love that experience with John Obrigado. I could have had like many other questions, but man, it's so cool. Congratulations, man, on I'm happy for you, man.
Oh,
It
thank
just
you.
healed you, and wow.
I know it's nothing short of a miracle. Thank you so much for having me on.
Alrighty, guys. Thanks for listening. Thanks for listening to this amazing interview. One of my favorite that I've done so far. Gregg Kirk is a great guy, great man, and much success to him. John of God, I've heard of him, and I've spoken to other people who did go to John of God and or planning to go to John of God's, and much luck to them, because I sometimes I have to admit I believe in these types of people, and I think that when you have a disease, when you're in that pit sometimes of you're not of misery, sometimes with that pit of anything is good. Anything is good. So thank you again, Gregg Kirk, for this amazing interview, guys. If you are an Amazon shopper, when you use our Amazon links at frederickbuy.com, Amazon kicks back a few bucks to the show, and it helps cover production costs. No additional cost to you, no hidden fees, no nothing. So if you like what you hear, you can help by going over to frederickbuy.com and click the Amazon link in the sidebar for all your online shopping. It is really that simple, and I would like to take a moment to thank everybody who pledged to our Patreon page. You are really helpful to the show, and we are grateful for your help. In case you're wondering, Patreon is a simple way for you to contribute to the network every single month and get super cool exclusive rewards in return. I promise you will love the perks. Our Patreon page is at frederickbuy.com, and click Patreon in the header. And also, we're looking for new hosts, guys. If you are somebody who's a podcaster, wannabe podcaster, would like to try your hand in podcasting, we're here to lead you by the hand. We're here to lead you by the hand, kind of, show you the how this thing works. Sometimes when you're starting out, it's a little hard, and then you get the opportunity to be on the network. The network is in its infancy, so the fees and all of that are very low compared to other networks right now. So if you are positively oriented, if you are passionate, and you have a message that you want to share with the world, man, go to frederickbuy.com and click Become a Host in the header. Also, the Creative Magic Store is open, alive, and well. It's designed with meaning, meant to inspire you, tap into your intuition, and add a little bit of magic into your life. frederickbuy.com, Creative Magic Store in the header. And also, this podcast is free every time you download it on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play Music, wherever. And we're going to be on iHeartRadio, actually, we should be in the next few days. So, that's pretty exciting. So please go over there, subscribe. It is listener supported. Tell a friend, leave a 5-star review. Really helps a brother out. And with this, stay safe. And don't forget, live with purpose, passion, fire, and love. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to the Frederick Buy Show. For more information, go to frederickbuy.com. That's Frederick with a C, buy like bye-bye.com.